In this episode of the Fitness Business Podcast, essentials in onboarding new employees, professional development insights and advice, and tips for building a successful career in fitness. All of that and more coming up in today's show. You're listening to episode 257 of the Fitness Business Podcast. We'd like to thank this month's premier podcast partner, Tribe Team Training, the world-class leaders in small group training experiences. Earn unprecedented profit, gain guaranteed results for your members, and ensure the very best small group training education for your coaches. Contact Tribe Team Training today and have a conversation to see just how much opportunity there is at your fitness facility. Go to tribeteamtraining.com or click on the link in today's show notes. It's time to announce the winner of our Bose Quiet Comfort 35 noise cancelling headphones giveaway. Before I announce the winner, I first want to say a huge thank you to every single one of you that took the time to enter. This was such a difficult decision, but after reviewing all of the entries, the prize goes to Billy Warhop. Congratulations, Billy. You have won yourself a pair of Bose Quiet Comfort 35 noise cancelling headphones. Here's what our winner had to say. Working as a sole employee in a regional location, I found the Fitness Business Podcast to be a valuable resource for personal and professional development. It offers a great perspective and a reminder of the fundamentals to provide members with the best possible experience that we can offer. Some real gems amongst the episodes that I've heard. Thank you again to Billy, and thank you to all of you who took the time to leave a review. It truly meant so much to myself and to the team to hear what the show means to you and how it's impacting your business and your career. Be sure to keep an eye out for our Facebook page in the coming months, as we will be sharing all of the reviews on there each week. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's show. My special guest this week is Greta Wagner, the Executive Director and Senior Vice President at Chelsea Piers, Connecticut. Chelsea Piers is a premier sports and entertainment complex with locations in New York City, Brooklyn, and Stamford. As the Executive Director and Executive Vice President of Connecticut, Greta is responsible for the leadership development and financial success of the 500,000 plus square foot Stamford facility. She's been in the fitness industry for over 30 years. Greta is a board member for the Chelsea Piers Scholarship Fund and the Stamford School of Ballet, and supports over 25 additional charitable organisations. And as you'll hear later on in the show, she's also one of the panelists for the 2019 IHRSA Womens Leadership Summit. During this week's show, I chat to Greta about managing teams and building a career in fitness. We're about to transition to this week's interview, but first here's a message from our friends at Tribe Team Training. Tribe Team Training specialises in nothing but developing the very best team training programs available. Find out more at tribeteamtraining.com or click on the link in today's show notes. Enjoy this week's interview with Greta Wagner. Greta, a very warm welcome. We are absolutely thrilled to have you on the show today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Now, you've been at Chelsea Piers since 1996. So in your experience, what would you say are the ingredients to a long and a successful fitness career?
I think it's important to stay current and relevant, build relationships, and really ask for what you want, and then be prepared to do a lot of hard work.
What would you say the onboarding process should look like if you've got a new team member coming into the business, and how long would you normally spend on that process?
I'm a firm believer that the onboarding process starts from the moment they come to the interview and how your team engages with them and the brand standards that are projected, because they're learning who you are as an organization and what your expectations are as an organization. So I think that the onboarding starts at that point, and how you conduct yourself or through the interview process, how professional you are and engaging you are, and all the way through to the first year of employment. And, so I think it's an extended period of time for the onboarding, and you really have to do your due diligence to make sure that even if the person doesn't get the job, when you're interviewing, they're going to leave you and talk about your company and the process that you put them through. And it's either going to be positive or negative. So that's a really important thing, whether you actually bring the candidate on board or not. And then once they are in, it's really important. It's a key to your success to, have longevity with your employee base, to make sure that onboarding process is really structured.
It's really interesting you say that, and I haven't heard anyone say that before, but it's such an important point, because you're right. The experience that all of those candidates have with you, especially if you're in a community-based facility, there's a good chance they're going to go out and talk about that experience. And I guess the other side of that is they may not be right for that particular role at that time, but perhaps that candidate ends up being right for another role that comes up later on down the track.
Right. And they're more likely to come back to you if that experience was a good one. And also if you give them some feedback on why they weren't selected for any specific position, or for the specific position that they applied for the first time around, give them the feedback, listen to their questions about the process and why they didn't get the role. And they are more likely to come back to you if you do that. Just like with anything when you deal with your members as well, the more you listen to people, the more they know you care about their story and they feel important, and they're going to speak highly of your organization and want to be part of it, whether that's as a customer, a member, or an employee.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. So just looking back at that onboarding process, if you were to look at the steps that you would generally go through with a new employee, is there any kind of things that you would highlight or particular stages along the way that you could share with us that are must-dos in that process?
Well, I think you need to set the employee up for success. So it's really about transparency, making sure they know what to expect. When as soon as you give them that offer letter, get them through the standard paperwork and the process quickly and efficiently. Explain to them what you expect from that moment till the moment they come through your door for that first welcome. Inform the team so they know what to expect and can welcome the new employee. So that's your sort of preparation phase. And then you're going to go on to your orientation phase. So their introduction and their tours, and you give them a mentor or buddy and give them sort of a global overview of the vision and the mission of the company and everybody's role within the organization. I think making them feel just like we would with a member, making them feel very welcome into our environment. Make sure, and this sounds silly, but it's really key, that the first week should be very scheduled. They should have that schedule in their hands. They should have people to have lunch with, and they should go to meetings, maybe even outside of their department that they've been hired for. So again, that goes to, they have a little bit more of a global overview, and they realize that they're part of the bigger picture and they're part of something bigger than just their role in their department. And then also discuss what success looks like. So they have a real understanding of, this is what we think success in this role is. And then I also like to give them specific small projects, so they have something to do. They might have time in between meetings. We all operate very busy businesses and things happen. So they always have a backup. So if there's a 15-minute gap that we weren't really scheduled to have, they know they have a little project that they can be working on independently until they get to their next scheduled meeting or training. And then, so that's our orientation phase. And then the integration phase, which is, a constant review of the role, their projects, their experience through the training, continued exposure through the leadership team, giving them various collaboration opportunities with other departments and within their own department, touch bases with colleagues and supervisors with ongoing feedback, new projects, and then a whole lot of fun in between. So keeping it engaging, having a lot of company socials and inviting them to those, both member socials and internal socials. And that's the integration phase. And that can be anywhere from 3 months to, all the way to their 12-month mark, where they have their first sort of recap of their year and what is their next 12 months going to look like, or their future with, their sort of career path with us.
Greta, that is such an amazing overview. Thank you. And I want to just go back to a couple of things that you said. One, which was the scheduling their first week, so making sure that everything's planned out right down until who they're having lunch with, and then the small projects. Because I've got to say, I had a friend who started a new role recently, not in the fitness industry, but he was saying to me, I was just left to fend for myself. In that first week, I felt lost. I was new to the business. And I think we need to make sure that we are nurturing our new employees through that process, because they're in a new environment, they don't know anyone. And I think the idea of having everything scheduled out, making sure that if there is that time, all of a sudden everyone disappears into a meeting room and your new employee is left there with nothing to do. I love that idea of having small projects for them to work on in the event that, something happens like that and they're kind of left to their own devices. So I love the planning phases throughout all of that.
We spend so much money and resources in making sure that we onboard our members the correct way, and we really plan that out with great detail. We absolutely need to do the same thing for our employees, because they're the ones that are serving our members. So the more that we can set them up for success and give them the tools that they need to provide the service and deliver sort of our brand standards and meet our expectations for a service level with our members, we just have to have the same amount of resources for our employees that we do for our members. And we wouldn't just throw together a random, quick onboarding process for our members. We certainly shouldn't do it for our employees.
It's such an important message, Greta. Team, as Greta was talking us through that onboarding process, I wrote down a very quick summary of the 3 main phases that she mentioned, and I just wanted to take a second to recap those for you. Greta said a successful onboarding process starts before an employee walks in the door, and it continues for the first 12 months. Not the first week, not the first month, but the first 12 months. The 3 stages were preparation, orientation, and integration. Preparation covers hiring and pre-boarding, orientation is day 1 through the first month, and integration is month 1 through to the entire first year. Now let's go back to the interview where I asked Greta about how we can ensure our new team members are introduced to our company culture. Here's what she had to say.
They need to understand the vision and the mission, which is everything about your culture. And again, I keep always going back to our brand standards. What are our expectations? And, it's everybody's responsibility to keep that at a very, high level and keep each other accountable. I always feel that, we at Chelsea Piers, we're all very proud to be part of an organization that is really special. So and it's a very big place. So the people who work here realize that it's their responsibility to keep the facilities clean, to keep our kids and our members safe, to make sure that people are having fun. And to make sure that we're all very friendly. So clean, safe, friendly, and fun is sort of what our mission boils down to, and everybody can come back to that vision and that mission, and they know what's expected of them. So I think that is sort of the key and the easy way for us to keep on track and keep everybody accountable to make sure that we're serving our members.
Now, Greta, you just mentioned the word fun, and I would love to explore that a little bit more. Can you tell us about maybe some of the projects or the initiatives or the fun activities that you have done with the team at Chelsea Piers?
Yeah, having fun is important at Chelsea Piers and to all my employees. I mean, that's kind of part of our mission: clean, safe, friendly, and fun. That's what we're about. So I really try and practice what I preach and make sure that my team members are able to let off some steam and have a good time. We do a terrific thing called Chelsea Piers Employee Games. We do the employee games in May, right before we start into our summer camps. And it's basically like going back to camp for us. We divide up into 4 different colored themed teams, pick a captain, and divide up our entire staff. And it goes over the course of 2 to 3 weeks. And we do everything from building our team banners, naming our team, balloon popping, to serious sports. We'll play volleyball very, very seriously, do skills in soccer, or an egg toss game, or water balloons. So it's really wacky and crazy and fun. We do it 2 to 3 times a week. We have lunch for our team members. And it's a contest. So we're very competitive by nature. We have a lot of coaches and competitive athletes here. And it's a great way for all of our employees to mix from every department. So we might have our housekeeping department playing against our personal trainers and our executive team. And it's a whole lot of fun. People get to know each other. They let off a little steam and just get ready to share that same sort of enthusiasm, and they can bring on their energy and be on top of their game for when we start our camp season.
Greta, I love the sounds of these employee games, and the fact that you do it as an annual event just allows employees to have something to look forward to each year. So, as you know, as a listener of the show, personal development and professional development is something that we are passionate about here on the Fitness Business Podcast. So I would love to get your insights into staff training, and specifically where you feel as though the business's responsibility is when it comes to training staff.
We start every one of our associates off with what we call our NEO, our new employee orientation. And that's where they hear sort of what our vision and mission is directly from myself and the 3 owners of Chelsea Piers. So we tell the story, we tell why the vision that the owners had, how they developed it, what our expectations are. We review our history, because now we're going into our 25th year in 2020. And so that's the first part of training for our employees, and everybody goes through that. And then we also have our MVP customer service training, and that's a full day class. I know everybody, now says, we should be moving on to sort of bite-sized information and bite-sized training and online training, which is all, they're wonderful tools and resources, and we also incorporate those into our training. But I'm a firm believer in hands-on. We are a hospitality business, first and foremost, a service business. And so we need to engage with each other and be very hands-on. And I like the hands-on learning. So we spend a full 6 to 7 hours in our classroom with a lot of exercises and workshop. It's a workshop type of classroom where we have all of our new employees get together from different departments, so they get to know each other and spend quality time with each other and learn about what those sort of brand standards are. How do they deliver the service level that we expect of them? And we really give them a lot of tools and role play to enable them to go back to the front line and really do great at their job and feel that they have the resources they need and the training they need to deliver what we want them to deliver. And it empowers them, because there's nothing worse than being a new employee within an organization. You know, they go through the initial process and then they're put at their station and we say, go, it really does them a disservice, and it does our members a disservice. So it's our responsibility to make sure they're trained initially, and then that we continue their education so we retain them. It's really important. And we know, we're realistic about the fact that everybody has a different reason for being with us. Some are here and they're developing their career and they will be here for years to come. We have a lot of longevity with our company because we have invested so much in our employees, and because they do have career development, there is always a next step. But then we have people who, it's a transitional position. They're here for a few years while they go to school. But the most important thing is, while they're here, we're going to give them all the tools they need. We're going to give them the education and the resources they need. And when they leave us, if they do, they're going to say, I learned this from Chelsea Piers, and I can now move on to my next step of my career. And again, it's goodwill. It's great word of mouth. It's amazing how many times people come back to me and say, whether it's our onboarding process or the experience, like when I do exit interviews with people, it's like, I've learned so much, and it's the first company that has really invested so much in me and developing me as either a customer service representative or developed me as a coach or a personal trainer. And people are very thankful for that, and they remember it and they talk about it.
Great tips around that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Greta. So we wrap up each of our episodes with FitBispiration. So today, can you share with us 3 tips for building a successful career in the fitness industry? We're about to hear this week's FitBispiration from Greta, but first, here's a message from our friends at Gym Sales. Gym Sales allows you to plan, implement, and monitor a proactive sales strategy that's automated and uniform. You can give your sales team the tools they need to capture, nurture, and convert new members, which means it's easier than ever before to grow your member base. Make sure you head over to gymsales.net to find out more information. Now let's return to the show, where Greta is going to share her tips for building a successful career in the fitness industry.
You need to stay current and stay relevant. You need to network. And you need to ask for what you want. So that was probably 4, but I combined the first 2.
We'll allow that.
Advice, but I do think that's how you build a successful career. Surround yourself by people who you think highly of, and network as much as possible.
Now, Greta, before I let you go, I first want to chat about the IHRSA Womens Leadership Summit, which of course is happening at the Athletic Business Show in November of this year. Now, you're on the panel of the IHRSA Women's Leadership Summit. Tell us a little bit about the panel this year.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be part of the IHRSA's Women's Leadership Summit. I'm participating on the panel with 3 women that I really respect. Michelle from Castle Hill 360, she's moderating, which she's going to be fantastic. Lynn from Planet Fitness and Brick Bodies, and Carol from DMB Sports Clubs, 2 women that I have had the pleasure of meeting, and Carol I know very well. So I think it's going to be a great panel and a great event.
It absolutely will be. And just tell us really briefly, what's the topic for the panel discussion?
The panel's going to be really about people, perspective, and purpose. So all of us, I think, have a lot to say about that.
Excellent. Well, I'm really looking forward to it. And of course, the keynote this year is Debbie Peterson. And I, as we're recording this, have her book on my desk, and I'm really looking forward to reading that. Her book is called Clarity: How Smart Professionals Create Career Success on Their Terms. So for anyone that is listening in right now, if you can join us, Greta and myself will be at the IHRSA Women's Leadership Summit this year, then we would absolutely love you to join all of us on that day. I'm going to put all of the details in today's show notes. And Greta, it has been such a pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you so much for joining us on the Fitness Business Podcast.
Thanks again. It was fun to chat with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you and everyone listening at the IHRSA Women's Leadership Summit.
Thanks once again to Greta for sharing such great insights and actions. Now, here's a message from our podcast partner, One Fit Stop. We'd like to thank our sponsor, One Fit Stop, for their support, and we highly recommend all fitness professionals go to onefitstop.com to find out how their software will enable you to take control of day-to-day management in your fitness business. One Fit Stop's scheduling, client management, programming, and payment collection tools will set your business up for success.
Pre-Core Quickfire 5.
This week's Pre-Core Quickfire 5 guest is Tim Lyons, the founder and CEO of Profit Marketing Solutions. Tim, a super warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you, Chantel. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So let's get kicked off with our Pre-Core Quickfire 5. Tell everyone, why do you do what you do?
Well, I'm here to help gym owners win, just like yourself. That's what drives me.
And what's one ritual that helps you become better at what you do?
Absolutely. Every day I get a sweat in every day, and the first thing in the morning before I get my day started, and then I start my day at 10. That's my rule.
Phenomenal. And getting a sweat on right at the start of the day is an awesome way to start your day. And tell us, are there any apps or systems that you use to stay in control of your workload?
Absolutely. Number one, software is Infusionsoft. I'm a big fan, been a user for 10 years, and it drives into all my businesses.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a fantastic system, and we'll make sure we grab a link and pop it in today's show notes. We use that one as well. And are there any books, podcasts, or blogs that you would recommend, and why?
Well, since I run my own podcast, I'd say the Built to Grow podcast. If you guys want to check that out, Built to Grow podcast. But we're going external. I'm a big fan of Digital Marketer. Perpetual Traffic is a show that they host, and it's real technical, in the weeds, kind of nerdy, and that's what I like.
Yeah, it is. You're so right. I flick over to that podcast sometimes, and sometimes I can really get into it, and sometimes it's a little bit too tech for me, but it is definitely a great one. And we'll put the link to Perpetual Traffic, and we'll put the link to Built to Grow podcast, your own podcast, in today's show notes. And just give us a really quick insight into the topic that we're going to be focusing on during your main interview.
Yeah, today, Chantel, I want to tell all the gym owners and trainers out there how to eliminate competition so that they are the only fitness solution in a given market.
I am really looking forward to this interview, Tim. So thank you so much for joining us today for the Pre-Core Quickfire 5. I thought we'd stay on theme with Greta's interview. So this week's throwback show is episode 230 with Elias Scarr, Essential Actions for Onboarding New Members. During the show, we chat about essential steps of a customer journey in the first 30 days, new member gifts, gestures, and actions that really make an impact, and communication in the 30 to 90-day growth period. Now, if you missed that episode, then go ahead and check out today's show notes at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, and in the search field, type 230. Thank you for joining me for this week's show, and a reminder that all the resources and links for today's episode can all be found at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Thank you to our foundation partner, Active Management. Active Management are a fitness business coaching company that help clients all over the world. And this month, I have a business tip for you all. Join the Active Management Facebook community. It's an amazing group, and you'll meet like-minded fitness owners and managers from all over the world. All you need to do is go to facebook.com/groups/Active Management Community. It's a highly engaging community where JT from Active Management shares loads of resources. Things like photos from inside gyms, reasons to exercise, a monthly book club, challenges, and even ideas under $50. It's free and it is an awesome community. Once again, just go to facebook.com/groups/Active Management Community. Thank you all so much for joining me once again today. And as we say goodbye for this week, remember what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.